Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Loreweek. I hope you've had a good year. Wait, you what? Really? Well, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the actual Game of the Year awards. Unlike some Jeff Keighley thing, I'm sure nobody actually watches that. I am your host, the Lore Runner, as always. I don't even know where to begin. So, show news. We'll go ahead and start with that. Because remember, the first few minutes of Loreweek. So you may or may not be aware we had a poll recently, which had some results and some people. And long story short, I've decided to be the dictator again. And just decide tactically based on all of the variables that I'm aware of. So that's what we're doing with Dealer's Choice donations. We're just going to make it nice and clear. Nice and clear. It's just, I mean, valid. The other thing I wanted to mention, though, regarding that, some of you may or may not be aware that we are going through what I call the long block. We have several very long games to go through. We're still going through Cyberpunk, which we'll be going through tomorrow, of course. And I'm not sure what else. Give me a second. Then we're going to be playing Heroes of Might and Magic 5, which is going to be long. Pathologic 2, which is long. Horizon Zero Dawn, Divinity Original Sin 2, Assassin's Creed Unity, Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Long, 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 long. That's like over a month of content, probably, just blocked out. After that, we're going to chill a little bit more. Now, I haven't decided exactly how I want to do this, but I've been sincerely considering, once we're past the long block, pulling back on the streaming hours I'm doing, because I'm sure you guys appreciate me streaming 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, and I don't mind, per se, but I have officially started to get to the point where it's starting to drag on me a little bit. And Lord knows I already don't have a life, so shrug. It's okay, I don't really need a life. It's not like I have a life on this planet. But the point remaining, that I'm thinking about cutting back after we have finished the long block. We'll see, I haven't decided on that yet, but I'm considering it. If I was to do so, the most likely thing I would do is shuffle the starting time back to 10. You know, the same time we start with Loreweek, for example. And see where we're going from there. We're also still fiddling with how much priority it takes to fund a run, but that's not moving anywhere, at the very least until we're substantially more through the queue, so that's a thing. As a fresh reminder, we will not actually be doing the Star Trek stream tonight. Mr. Lore Reloaded is still going through some stuff, not the least of which being the fact that he is taking care of 2 adorable girls, and is trying to balance that, plus his job, plus losing internet, thanks to AT&T being AT&T. So, that's kind of where that's at. I think that's kind of it. I wanted to share something real quick before we jump into things. But, so you may or may not notice that there's no Voot thing up right now. And that's because of the fact that I was wanting to poll you guys first before we actually jump into it. Basically, are there any games that any of you think should qualify, should be added to the list for best, worst, and blah, you know, most blandest games of the year? Now, I already have a list, but as always, I don't keep track of everything, and I'm not perfect, so I figured I'd ask you guys if there's anything you figure should be added to that list. So if anybody has any suggestions, please feel free to add. Ghost of Tsushima is already there. In fact, I'd give you the list right now audibly, but then someone would stream in and ask, what's the list? And then I'd say it again, and then someone pauses. What's the list? So just go ahead and pop out answers. Just give answers. If it's not on the list, I can add it. Best, worst, blandest. Jot that one down here. Just realized. We've got that one there. Actually didn't have Hades on my list. That's funny. Right? I didn't have it? Yeah, I did not have it. I'm right. What, Volcanto? FS7R1, okay. Last of Us 2, yep. New FIFA? What is it? I'm gonna need a little more details than that. I don't even know what it is. I mean, I didn't play it, Volcanto, and I forgot it existed. Yeah, exactly, Volcanto. I didn't play it, so... I actually forgot it was coming out. Animal Crossing, I have that one. While you guys are thinking, now that I've posed the question... So, obviously, I had a Christmas outing with the families, and... They're aware of the fact that I'm building the set here. As you can see, I've got Frostborn nicely proposed. We've got Dive and Wave and Quick over here. We've got the Hammer and the other ship, which I can't remember the name of, over there. Keep tossing out game names. Keep tossing out game names. So my beloved sister gave me this to put on the set. And, my opinion has not changed. It's polished, it's codified, but my opinion has not changed. Half-Life Alyx, Colgrim. This one goes... And both of those are kind of strange and unusual. But there was one other thing which I appreciate much more, if I'm being completely honest. Would you stop? And that would be this. Boyo! So, one moment. Hang on, I've got a little bit of a rearranged setup today. For reasons that'll become obvious in a few minutes here. So Kirby, let's see, where should Kirby go? I mean, Kirby being in the Colosseum makes a degree of sense. I don't know. What do you think? Maybe put him over here by the Star Destroyers? Put him by the Hammer? Which he's not going to stand up. Well, we could do. Pillars 2 was last year. Or the year before that, actually. I'm not even sure. We'll put Darth Vader there. And Darth Vader will brace up Kirby. No, that's mean. That's mean. Vader, there's no good place for Vader. He's too dark. Can't see him. Vader's gonna have to go tier 2. Which, that's okay. We can start tier 2. We haven't really started it yet. Kirby gets tier 1, though. He's up here. Put him up here. Do that. There we go. Right behind Yoshi. Actually, let's just move Yoshi over here. Yoshi! And then Yoda will be equivalent on the other side. There we go. Perfect. Except he's on this side. There we go. Gotta be symmetrical, very important. Because we all know Baby Yoda is the opposite of Darth Vader, right? That's how that works. And Warcraft 3 Reforged is on the list. Some of you may or may not have actually noticed this. What's the best way to show this off? So, I've been adding a game every stream I put in. Either a PS4 game or a Switch game. I'm almost out of PS4 and Switch games to add. You're funny, Plutonium. Because I've only been adding... So, obviously, some of you probably have noticed. What's with this focusing? What is with this focusing? Well, I don't know at my Kumano, and I don't care, admittedly. Oh, I see the problem. Oh my god, this thing. Killing me. There we go. There we go. Let's get rid of that. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Was that a port? A remake or a remaster? I mean, it counts, but... Anyways, what you don't know, because there's no way you would know, and if you did know this, I'd be worried, is I've only been adding games I've actually finished. So the eventual goal is to, like, this is like a progress bar now, right? Because what I want to do is I want to add all those games that you can't see, they're off camera over there, to this, but I can only add them if I've actually reviewed them. I've got kind of a wish list now. Speaking of things that I was gifted for Christmas, I actually already showed these off on Discord. Well, 2 of them. Did Fall Guys come out this year? Let's look that up. I need it. What do you know? It did. Alright, I'll add Fall Guys. That's true. Borderlands 3 came out this year, too. As for Trackmania, I don't know what that is. I don't know what this is. I mean, there is a 2020 release. Or is there? Yep, nope, July 1st. There it is. Okay, I'll add it to the list. Trackmania 2020. Among Us came out a couple years ago. Anyways, where's the camera? I lost the camera. So this RPG, this is RPG, the Ultimate RPG Character Backstory Guide. And she says I have no excuses now to continue playing a human in D&D. So this is actually surprisingly in-depth. We've got brand new characters. So basically, starting a character who's level 1 through 7, 8 through 14, or 15 through 20. And you can be like, okay, so hang on. We've got your charisma, ideas of what charisma can mean, ideas of what status can mean as far as being a home, or what people socialize, or something that was yours, or red flags in your character, or rival, familiar people, curses that you can undergo, wedding. There's a ridiculous, this is like a 200-page, well, 100-page book. This is, yeah. At one point in time, I was defeated by a... Hang on. There's dice tables, too. It's very cyberpunky. Wasn't the Destroy All Humans thing just a port? I mean, just a port, but, you know, whatever. Believe it or not, I have Genshin Impact, or whatever it's called, on the list already. Okay, so... It's a... Hang on, I need some D6s. So, in our youth... we fought a troll. What? An elemental troll. That was it is a chimera. An elemental troll, which its legs have a thick outer protective shell, which gives it a AC bonus, and it's very territorial, but it doesn't move from wherever it is. Oh no, we're just getting the list right now, Hazardous. We just need lists. So far, nobody's added. Call of Duty Warzone? What the heck is that? I'll go ahead and add it to the list. They also gave me this book. Now, this is funny. There's actually a story behind this, which I will not tell you. It's called Cook Anime. It is anime dishes. It's a cookbook. And it tells you how to make several dishes that are dominant in various animes. And there's some interesting stuff in here, which I will probably never get to make because lack of resources. There's something I recognize. I mean, there's several things I recognize. Like there's tamagoyaki in here, for example. Onigiri. Did Bug Snacks come out this year? You keep adding games. I'm probably not going to get voted for, but that's okay. That's okay. Pickled daikon. Potato salad. Ooh. Oh my gosh. We got Nikomon. We got Valentine's chocolates. Very important. Anmitsu. I'm not actually sure what that is. Wah! What else we got? Ooh, ramen. I actually don't like ramen. There's a recipe for tempura in here. Thank you, Ciela. As always. True, too true. I have pizza, too true. They're probably hungry when they're drawing them. Where is... I don't even have that document up. Yes, raw men. I don't like polished men, personally. It's just not my thing. And Platonia gets to decide where that's going at some point. This is the other thing. I haven't set this up yet, obviously, but it should be reasonably obvious what it is. It apparently changes color, so it's not just the blue one. In fact, I guess I can just open it right now. Knife. Yep. What is the Pathless? I've heard of this game. That would be amusing, Pyman. I have no idea where I'm going to add this to the set. Again, designed to be a set dressing. We're naming games that came out this year to be added to the poll. So, the Pathless. Well, alright, I'll go ahead and add that to the list. The Pathless. By the way, every game you're mentioning will be on all 3 polls. Unless there's not enough room, in which case I'll just have to start getting rid of some. FF7R1's on there, yeah. I'm not sure... Personified Royal? Okay, I'll allow that. I actually didn't have that on the list, but if I'm adding that to the list, then I have to give my own award for it. There's no link yet. We're developing the link. Baldur's Gate 3 is not out yet. Thank you. Oh, hang on, let me sit up before I bow. Thank you, FN Craig. I was already leaning, so it's kind of weird to lean, bow from... Anyways, thank you very much, FN Craig. I'll put that towards Hollow Knight if you give me just a moment here. Baldur's Gate 3 is not out yet. Neither is Star Citizen, to use the parallel. Neither is Subnautica 2, and you get the idea. So, no. No arguing at this point. We're done. Moving on. Someone mentioned a game. Shadowlands, right. I already have that on my list. Suzerain. I've never heard of that, but sure. What is our cap? We need to figure out a cap on how many we can add here. Let's see. How many can we add to a poll at once? Because we're going to have to trim at some point. Space Marine, you got it. Thank you again, Ciela, for the sub. Crusader Kings 3 is already on the list. So let's see. How many options can I have here? So we'll just start like best game of 2020. So let's just start going down the list and see when we're going to fill up. We might have to do some elimination rounds. I'm going to be real here. I thought that came out last year, John. Although it wouldn't surprise me if I didn't catch it because of how I organize things. It did. It came out last year, so it doesn't count. December of last year. It's actually a lot of releases that are in like September, November, December, so no. I mean, I get it. But it's funny because I have the exact same thing where I'm like, oh, that came out this year. Oh, no, it didn't. Was that this year? Hang on, let me double check something like that. Did this come out? It did. Oh, that's why. Okay. So far it hasn't filled up yet. This is a huge list, my god. I have to type all this up 3 times, too. No, I have an Imperial Star Destroyer, and I don't really plan to be completely honest with you. There's nothing to discuss. Hey guys, someone walked into my home and pointed a gun at my head, but it's okay, the safety's on. There you go, there's the discussion. There's really nothing to add there. Okay, so I added Black Ops Cold War, which was just mentioned. I'm gonna write that down here, so I don't miss that. Blobs, I'm just gonna write blobs. Any other suggestions? Because this is a good time for it. Because I'm making the best poll right now. And then I'll make the worst, and then I'll make the blandest. I don't know how to hook this up. This is a USB thing. And while I have a couple of USB things over there, behind the monitor, I don't exactly have any USB things back here. So you go over here and eat Baby Yoda. No. There we go. Okay, cool. Like, I will eventually be able to figure something else out there, but, like, that's not happening right now. Unless... Well, let's deprioritize that for the moment. I don't see any other suggestions. Nope, hang on. There's 2 more right there. SpongeBob remake. Game of the year. It's okay. Destroy all humans. I didn't get that one. Someone mentioned it earlier and I forgot to write it down. I can't spell. There. Okay. This is it. Last chance. Anything else to add to this gargantuan list? Now, I'm going to set it up so you can vote multiple times. So you can vote for everything on the list or only one thing on the list, okay? So when we're there, you can vote for as many as you think deserve to be best, worst, blandest. Going in 10. Okay, we're done. Boop. Cut off. So now I gotta make 2 more polls. Give me just a second. And I'm just gonna make the same list again. So I hope you enjoyed typing. I'll mute myself. Probably about half an hour from now, sticker friends. Give or take. Depends on how long it takes us to go through things today. Basically, if you don't vote now, then you don't get a vote ever. You should have voted. Shame on you for not being here. Yeah, you can vote on next year's. I forgot to re-mute myself, didn't I? Give me a second. Two down. Two down. Hang on. One to go. I suppose I could let you guys start voting, though. Give me 1 second. So, where's the link? Okay, so there's best. He is worst. Don't get confused. They're the exact same list, except one's best and one is worst. I mean, it came out this year, Volcanto. So I don't see why not. Now I gotta mute myself again. Yet no, Volcanto. See, it came out in October on the Epic Store, which doesn't count. So, The Outer Worlds came out this year. In October, actually, funnily enough. We played it pretty much at launch, so to speak. Well, tough. I'm not redoing everything Volcanto. I'm still counting it as a this year game, so don't care. Moving on. Like, I mean, you do have a valid point, to be clear. I actually completely forgot that it came out, because I thought it came out on console this year. But that's actually my mistake, because it came out on Switch this year. And I'm guessing, based on what you were telling me, because this is news to me, that it came out on PlayStation 4 and Xbox last year. So that is my bad. There's just an ASMR thing now. I'm still giving it an award for this year, by the way, because I've already written it down, so whatever. Okay. Private only, allow multiple choices, go. And here is the worst list. There, all three are up. Whew, okay. Okay, let's look at our results. Pull up results on all three here. Results. Okay. Alright. Now I gotta let that thaw out a little bit more. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna figure out how I'm gonna do this. I know what I can do. I can grab... Oh, that cable might work. Let me go grab a cable real quick here. If this doesn't fit, I do have an extension cable or 50. Something fancier with our cable management later. I just want to see if this thing works. Can't even really tell what's doing it. Sorry, Baby Yoda. You can kind of tell. That is bright. Look at that. I mean, I know it's because of the setup I have. Just make sure to vote. I can actually throw that up now. In fact, speaking of which, now that we're at the voting phase, I can throw up the announcement that I've been sitting on. Not me, Nerd Picks. This art sucks. This is total crap. I hate everything in the entire universe. There we go. Toxic lore has arisen. And apparently that's green. I don't know if you can tell that. I'm not sure that qualifies as green. I don't know. It's not super green. Interesting, Lunaruth. I mean, it was a good scene, so I'm with it. Good morning, Emperor Valerian Voot. Oh yeah, right. Let's do this properly. Hang on. Let's do this properly. So hang on. I'll toss some links out in a moment here. So here's. You know what I should probably do? Actually, let's just do this. Let's do this. I'm gonna automate a little bit here. That should help. So where's Voot? There it is. Of course there is, Nerdpix. I have no idea. What? Let's see if this works. Could someone please type in !Voot into chat? Yep, nope, that didn't work. Alright, hang on. Thank you, Colgrim. I'm glad you liked it. Ah, I see the problem. We'll just do this. Let's see if that fixes it. That is terribly formatted. I don't have that category, JF0. That's actually that's an interesting category. The problem with that category is that's huge. Oh my god, there's like literally hundreds of games that would qualify for that. Best game to play right now. Man, I don't know. Yeah, sorry, Outer Worlds technically did come out last year because console releases. I didn't even realize that. That is on me. I apologize, guys. That is my bad. Yeah, that would be put in your own choice kind of a thing, which would be interesting. We could just kind of... We'd have to do that one manually, which we could do. That'd be interesting. But for right now, while people voot, so make sure that's set up here. There we go. So, speaking of gifts for the show, this one's a little bit more temporary. You're probably wondering why I have this table here. This is the building stuff table. As you're aware, we built the computer on this. And now we're going to build a gingerbread house. Hopefully, this might not work out. But we're going to build a specific gingerbread house. That gingerbread house. This is a gift. It's probably not safe to eat at this point. I don't know how long these things keep. But who cares? Let's see what we got here. So, what have we got here? So we got some stars. There has to be stars. It's very important. We got coins. Gumdrops, which are astonishingly out of date. How's this doing? It's melted a little bit. Massage this a bit here. Yeah, we're gonna play Paper Mario. Guys, I'm sorry, Paper Mario is the game of the year. It just is. It's the most amazing game, and I know this because I haven't played this, and so I can pretend it's whatever I want it to be. Oh god, Paper Mario, why did you hurt me so? Whoa, is, that might be interesting. How about this? By the way, this is gifted to me a few months ago. Just gonna go ahead and be honest about that. And I'm like, well, it's a good Christmas thing. And they're like, yeah, just wait. And I'm like, okay, whatever. We'll wait. We'll see how this works out. Sure. Well, just put it. Alright, what do we got here? Important, do not eat this ever, ever, ever. If you eat this, you will die. Ooh. I do like dying, but... Okay. I liked Color Splash for what it was. Low gameplay, high story, to summarize. Like, they actually did several things. I have no idea. They did several things that were actually surprisingly well done, story-wise, in Color Splash. But you can understand why I have a hard time recommending the game, because it's not really fun to play. Alright, so... let's... You know what? Oh my god, effing Craig. What are you doing? Whoop, that's off center. We must fix that. No! It's gone already. Hang on. It's the first time we've gotten a donation with the new thing over here. Yeah, it is off. In fact, it's in the wrong place, too. Oh my gosh. Just doing everything wrong today. Hang on, one more. You get to keep seeing the Lich King, guys, sorry. Yeah, one more. Just keep it coming. Keep it coming. There. Okay. It actually needs to be 1 second longer now that I'm looking at it. Literally 1 second longer. There we go. Save. Thank you, effing Greg. Always appreciate. Thank you. Yes, this is why I'm not wearing gloves today, if anybody was wondering, which nobody was, because I doubt anybody noticed. Merry Christmas. I do hope you had a good year as well. Fine, I'll put it towards actual dealer's choice. But only because you clarified. Alright, so, before effing Craig so rudely decided to be awesome, how dare you, sir, upstaging me on my own show. I'm gonna turn into Johnny here really quick. But we need something. We need something to help flesh this out a little bit. Hey, Johnny. Don't worry, you're not Johnny. Or Johnny, but Johnny's unrelated to anything. So, there we go. Oh, I might not have enough. Oh, God. I might actually not have enough left. Look at that. This is terrible wrapping paper, by the way. Don't buy this. I definitely did not wrap Christmas gifts in this. For a certain adorable child. Like, it looks decent, but it's not. It's total crap. Alright, so now we got our paper. Where's our instructions? Here we go. So, grab all our pots. While we're doing this, I know this. This is a good time to mention that I have my own categories. No, I've never heard of them. I'm sorry, Mr. Starstar. So let's cover the games that I haven't played this year first, shall we? First, commence assembler le château triomphera avant le moment. Oh wait, sorry, wrong side. There we go. Be sure to start assembling 3 to 4 hours before you want to decorate. Now I got that kind of time, so we'll just kind of make this how this goes. So, okay. So, games I didn't play this year. Well, obviously, there's a category I already have for games I'm most looking forward to of games that came out this year that I have not played. I'm not going to tell you that one. Not yet, anyways. I'm going to build up to that. First, let's talk about the best game this year that I will probably never play. And there's a... Oh, wow, this thing is falling apart. Look at that. Ooh. Oh my god. Yeah. This might not happen. That is brittle. Holy cramoly. There's a few games that came out this year that I'll probably never play. And, you know, that are probably actually very good. You know, they might be coffee games, or they might be games that are Epic exclusive, or they might be games that are Xbox exclusive, or, you know, whatever. There's something, right? There's something that prevents them from being playable. But looking at the list of games that I'll probably never play... Oh, I need this thing going. It was kind of an easy pick for me, if I'm being completely honest. Because Half-Life Alyx is a game I will never play. Now, while it's not exactly Half-Life 3, it's kind of Half-Life 3, especially if they do anything with it going forwards, which they won't, because Valve. Nevertheless, Half-Life Alyx did, spoilers, legitimately continue the Half-Life story and effectively changed several things large-scale, which I'm not going to share with you because spoilers, but in a way that was legitimately surprising to me, if I'm being completely honest. What? Okay, I'm gonna need some scissors. One moment, please. It's okay, I have cooking scissors. Now, there's a lot of games that came out this year that had a little bit of a troubled release. Some issues with regards to how they were. Maybe there were patch issues. Maybe there were delay issues. Maybe there were crunch issues. Maybe the games were just crap and there was no salvaging them to begin with. There were a few of those this year, as there are every year, of course. Now, I mentioned this, and yes, make sure you vote if you have not voted. We're going to tally your guys' after I'm done yammering about stupid things nobody cares about. After going down the list, I realized that Doom Rider was amazing. And that's a problem. Doom Rider being amazing, like, I can't compete with that. So once again, this is the second time today I've been upstaged on my own show. It's incredible. This does not sit. Meh. Who needs it? Thank you, Doom Rider. I do ever and always appreciate. Thank you. I will hit refresh here. I kind of started working around things a little bit. Merry Christmas. I will put that towards me, basically, in just a moment here. It's going to be... I don't know, hang on. There we go. Okay, got it. Got it down. But of all the games that had troubled releases, there's actually one that I think deserves to be qualified as the most Fallout 76 game of the year. And for me, well, regardless of other quality, since you could say some things about the quality of Fallout 76 one way or the other, it would have to be Marvel's Avengers. A game that had no idea what it wanted to be, and vaguely struggled to try and present itself in a manner that they thought might actually garner them money. And then it didn't. I don't even mean that as a negative thing. It's just insane. The launch of Marvel's Avengers was insanity. No, I didn't play Marvel's Avengers. Or Half-Life Alyx. Obviously. This actually goes here. My God. Yeah, Avengers is launched. We make fun of Cyberpunk's launch, but Avengers is lost. That was just awful. Are you gonna come out? Are you gonna come out? It might not. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that's taking some effort. Look at that. Ah! Adhese! Perfect. It's perfect forever. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It is perfectly adhesed and will never fall over. Thank goodness. I'm going to vacuum as soon as I'm done with this. My God. Which, of course, you know, we're talking about bad stuff. Let's talk about bipolarism. Some games, you're like, man, I can't wait to play that. But then on the other hand, it's like, man, that's going to be a terrible game to play. Gosh, I'm not sure. And that's what I mean by bipolar. Like, you know what I'm talking about, right? There's some games where some aspect of the game either has you really hoiped and another aspect doesn't, or something about... This is super not edible. Something about it makes you hesitant even though you're excited for it. I'm sure you understand what that means, right? So the most bipolar game I am maybe kind of looking forwards to, who knows, we'll see, for me, is this thing falling over. This is super not wanting to stick. Would probably be Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Once again, I am not interested in spoiling for anybody who is not aware of certain developments with regards to Assassin's Creed Valhalla. But, well, let's just say, can you even see that? Let's just say that, you cannot see that. I'm gonna have to scooch this back. Oh, jeez. That means I gotta move it. That there are certain developments in Assassin's Creed Valhalla that sound really cool, and then there's certain developments that don't. There we go. Just really carefully moving this thing. This is a fragile construction right here. In fact, I'm probably just gonna... Well, no, it's already setting. Okay, well, never mind. We're not gonna redo that. We're gonna commit to it. I'm on my union mandated break, guys. Sorry, I can't rebuild that wall. Sorry, guys. Can't happen. And if you're wondering, by the way, some of the stuff I'm bipolar about in Valhalla, all I'm going to say is modern story, and that's it. Again, no spoilers today. Now, have you ever had a game... Have you ever had a game where you're not invested in it at all? It's not your franchise, or it's not your wheelhouse, or it's not something you're into, or it's not, I don't know, it's just something that, now it fell off. It's something that you're just not what you would call invested in, right? But nevertheless, you look at it and you're like, you know, I'm not into such and such normally, but that sounds kind of cool, actually. That might be legit. Huh. And you think about it, you look into it, and you get a little bit excited for actually trying it out. Now, for me, there's a game that came out this year that follows that exact same category. And I think I'm going to leave that for just a second, let that set a little bit. And that game would be Streets of Rage 4, which is a game that I've heard good things and bad things about, but is the kind of thing, just conceptually, that I'm completely in favor of. A modern remake, or excuse me, a modern sequel, a modern take on an older game is the kind of thing that I have seen proven to be good multiple times in my life. Shovel Knight is probably my favorite example of that. And so using modern tech and modern design concepts to make, you know, an older game, hell yeah. And I'm actually looking forward to trying out Streets of Rage 4 at some point, even though I have no investment in the franchise whatsoever. Now, How many of you have really liked a particular franchise? And we'll keep this limited to games for the sake of debatability and customary discussion. But let's say that there's a particular game franchise that you're into and that you love, and that, well, you've been burned on it. That's like, oh, okay, that sucked. And then they announce a new one, and now you're like, oh god, is it gonna be good? Is it gonna be bad? I mean, who knows, right? Because you loved the franchise and then it bombed, and now you're like, huh? And yeah, honestly, the older you are, no judgment, but the older you are, the more you've probably encountered this. Burned because it got bad. Burned because you didn't like it, Mike Kawano. So, yeah, I could name probably over a dozen franchises that have done this for me. But one comes to mind immediately, and there was a release this year which was a follow-through of this exact franchise. And so I'm staring at it like, so for the best old girlfriend, or excuse me, for the best ex-girlfriend that I probably shouldn't get back together with reward this year, I'm going to give that to Paper Mario: The Origami King. A game that I've actually already bought. It's sitting right over there. And is already on the list for a potential review. And someday, we'll see, because I don't know. I mean, it's probably not going to be Paper Mario 2, but it could be good. It could be bad. It could be anything. I don't know. And of course, you'd be like, well, just look at other reviews. Other review sites suck. Are you kidding me? Nobody listens to online reviews. Now, this then leads me to my next category, which is the worst game of the year that I will never play. Now, I did this before I found out about these other new games, which I don't know anything about, but sometimes there's a game, and you're like, that doesn't look interesting. But, you know, you give it a fair shake. You're fair. You're even-minded. You try to think about it a little bit. You're like, okay, maybe I'll look into it a little bit. So you look into it, and you find out that, no, it's actually worse than you thought it would be. It's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to touch that. And the worst part is it's super popular, right? Like, everyone's like, oh my god, this movie is so great, Laura, you need to come watch this. And I'm just sitting here going, but it... Question. And everyone's like, no, you don't understand. This movie is fantastic. You need to see it. And so this leads me, of course, to Genshin Impact. A game that is, by many accounts, total crap. Now, it is very well dressed up crap. I will absolutely give it credit for that. It does a lot on the presentation scale. We actually were talking about this just yesterday when we were talking about Cyberpunk. Presentation can and does salvage a lot of things. And that's probably one of the reasons why so many people are getting into it. So, it is well presented, but at its core gameplay loop, Genshin Impact is not good. It is just another exactly the same as every other I forget what that particular genre thing is, but it looks like not looks like, it is. So there's several types of template mobile games that are, you know, predatory, that are bad, right? And there's several of those types, and I've seen them, and I've seen these patterns, and I've talked to actual mobile game developers, and they're like, yeah, there's literally templates that you just grab, and then you just change some art assets, change some sound assets, and then jam. Gotcha's too broad of a category, but this is a specific brand of that, and I don't know what to call it. In fact, I don't have terms for any of these, but there's several, and I know this particular one, and I've seen it several times, but this is very well presented. It's just still the same mobile predatory crap that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. So for the record, if anybody donates to Genshin Impact, the answer is no. Executive veto. Which leads me, of course, to the best Starfighter sim of 2020. I am, of course, referring to TIE Fighter. Having gone back through that game, it was actually kind of surprising how both good and bad it was. because there was some very good stuff still. Like, there's parts of TIE Fighter have aged quite well to this very day. And then there's the parts that haven't. And then there's the parts that made me want to rip my jaw out. But, wait, that game didn't come out this year. Do we have another fighter game that came out this year? Right, Squadrons. Squadrons. So the best fighter game of the year is Star Wars Squadrons. A game that I'm probably not going to like, but I hope I do. This is kind of the flip side of the Paper Mario Origami thing. Because in Paper Mario Origami, I am hopeful, but hesitant. And here I am hesitant, but hopeful. Because everything I've heard and everything I've seen does not look good, but as usual, who cares what reviewers think? But at the same time, the base format of the game doesn't look like one that's going to interest me. A game like a Starfighter sim has to sit, for me, on two major axes. There's two big things it needs to do right. One of them is mission design. And from what I understand, this game does not have particularly interesting mission design. Nevertheless, we will see when we get there. How many of you like spicy food? Anybody? I mean, I do. I love spicy food. Wow, that's not even beginning to set. I'm hesitant to put the back on. I guess we could try. Let's do this. Spicy food for the win is all I'm saying. I love spicy food. Ghost peppers. I've actually never had a ghost pepper. I'm pretty sure a straight habanero is the spiciest thing I've ever eaten. I could be wrong about that. I haven't looked at the numbers. But I've eaten a raw habanero. I'm never doing that again. By the way, that is above and beyond me. Although I do like to add habanero. Some of you saw I did on my Twitter feed. I posted a salsa recipe which included a habanero, and oh, it was good. It was quite good. One moment, I'm just getting some markers here, and I'm come on. You really don't want to. Okay, here we go. I hope that's edible, because if not, I'm about to die. Lore Runner dies live on camera while making Mario thing. Video games to blame. But the thing about spicy food is that spicy food tends to hurt a little bit. Twice, technically, depending. And there's nothing really wrong with that, because pain is a gradient, right? I've talked about this before. There's nothing wrong per se with pain. In fact, pain is an incredibly useful tool. You know, it lets you know stuff's happening as far as your nerves. But there's also, you know, real pain, which is just above and beyond. That's when your body's like, whoa. And then there's, of course, systemic pain, which is a whole other category. But pain can be a good thing. And I've noticed that when it comes to game design, Silver Mask is trying to interrupt my dialogue. And I'm not going to let him. I'm just going to keep talking here. Because sometimes players like to have something that basically beats their head into the wall over and over. And that's fine. There's no judgment there. After all, punishing platformers is a real genre, for God's sakes. I didn't even come up with that term. I wish I did, because it's the perfect way to put it. But punishing platformers exist, right? And of course, everyone likes to pull out Dark Souls as an example of this, although I'm not sure that quite qualifies, but you get the point. So, V-O-O-T, Narset. Exclamation point, V-O-O-T. Voot. Just like it says. Voot. So anyways, point being, is pain is wonderfully awesome and amazing, right? No, of course it's not. But sometimes an irritating, frustrating game can be enjoyable. Which leads me, of course, to the game that I actually just added to this, which is the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. Now, I'm not talking about this, but Crash Bandicoot It's About Time came out this year. That would be the fourth game in this particular series, apparently ignoring all the other games, which we'll see about that when we get there. So this is the most painful game that I am actually legitimately curious how painful it is compared to this. It should be interesting, since, as I was told repeatedly during our run of Crash Bandicoot, you know, that's the point, Lore. You're wrong and you're dumb and you're stupid, But after the your dumbs and your stupids, the actually intelligent people informed me that they want that kind of experience. And, again, there's nothing wrong with that. So we will see whenever we get to that one. Fingers crossed. No, it's totally the point of those games, is to suffer and scream and bleed and die. Anyways, point being, this brings us up to... how many of you guys, like... I beat that, Hazardous, that's all I'm saying. That brings me to a game... Now, I don't have a big build-up to this one, because this one's just one I'm curious about more than anything else. It won't. But it's probably sad. So I liked Hyrule Warriors 1. I did. I played it all the way through. I didn't do much of the adventure mode, because duh. What is playing right now? Not Zelda, whatever it is. This is Stardew Valley, apparently. See, I don't have my headphones in. So, I liked Hyrule Warriors 1. And Hyrule Warriors 2 will probably be good. I'm hopeful it is, because I liked Hyrule Warriors 1. And it'll be nice to get some actual freaking story in a Zelda game. Breath of the Wild, looking at you, glaringly. But the reason I bring it up here isn't just to bash Breath of the Wild 1. I have plenty of other reasons to do that. It's because, as sad as it may sound, the thing I am most curious about with Hyrule Warriors 2 is how it leads into Breath of the Wild 2. I'm also curious if it will... how it handles the story axis, you know? Zelda games have always had a story focus, just not a heavy story focus when compared to other games I could mention. So you could argue that they don't need a story focus, and I would argue very strongly against that. But I am curious how much story they're going to put into it, because Hyrule Warriors 1 didn't really have that much story focus. I mean, the plot was... but ignoring the plot, there were some character moments, and there were some cool scenes, and there were some interesting tidbits, so sure, you know. So yeah, this is kind of the mostly I'm curious thing. Well, yeah, it is a prequel to Breath of the Wild 1, but it is the perfect time, development-wise, writer-wise, to lead into Breath of the Wild 2, right? No, don't spoil nothing for me, or I'll stab you. I've got Frostmourne right there. But, my point is that this is something that fiction has done quite a bit, actually, where it'll have a story, and then it'll do the prequel, and then the sequel. And the prequel is designed to help set up the sequel. It's actually like this, is the real way they do this. They've got both things, and, you know, they both lead into... They both set up the sequel kind of a thing. A bad example of this would be Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2. Dragon Age 2 wasn't really a sequel to Dragon Age Origins, but Dragon Age Inquisition is definitively a sequel of both Dragon Age 2 and Dragon Age Origins. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. I know that's not a prequel, but you get the idea. Anyways. Ugh. Yeah, you realize Breath of the Wild 2 was already announced, right, Joe? It's already in development. Anyways. I am legitimately hyped for that one way or the other, because like I said, I liked Hyrule Warriors 1. But we will see what it means for Breath of the Wild 2. And that's all the games that I had on my list that I hadn't played for the year. You guys added a few more, so let's look at these. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Believe it or not, I actually want to play that. There are several Tony Hawk games that I have tried to get into and basically failed at for various reasons over the years. And they always look interesting, but it's worth noting that the only times I really watch them is when speedrunners are playing them, so that's probably not very indicative. But if I was going to play one, a modern take on them is probably the way to do it, and I was told it's a proper remake, so there you go. So yeah, that sounds cool. Yeah, it is on my list to eventually add to the list. Fall Guys, zero interest. I'm sorry. Party games are fine. In my mind, party games are something you play when you've got a bunch of friends together and you've got like an hour to kill, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, party games are great, but I never get into party games as a consequence of that. And it's just like, hey, this is fun. All right, now let's move on. It's the same thing with quite a few board games. Because of the various types of board games, there's a whole side category that are, they're designed for large numbers of people, and they're designed to be relatively short party games. Believe it or not, something like Secret Hitler would qualify as a party game. So, whatever. XCOM Chimera Squad. I actually already have played Among Us. In fact, I'm pretty sure that VOD has already gone live, Tesla. Anyways, XCOM Chimera Squad. I've heard nothing but bad things about that. That makes me sad, because I was incredibly excited to play that. That sounds awesome to me. I mean, it's XCOM, so I'm sold. And the premise of having, like, regular, repeatable characters and, like, more of a story plot kind of a focus and, the breaching thing, all of that sounds amazing to me. And I've heard nothing good about it. Still gonna play it someday. Still gonna make up my own mind, but... Wait, isn't that on... Oh, whoops. I'm repeating myself. Sorry. Whatever. Let's move on. So another game that technically came out this year is Borderlands 3. Now, I'll go ahead and admit I'm not super hyped for Borderlands 3. In fact, I probably won't even ever stream it. Oh, actually, it is on the stream list. Never mind. So it is on the stream list. Never mind. But, to me, the Borderlands games are best played with a friend or two. And I have played Borderlands 2 with Gary and Pax, and I've played Borderlands prequel with pre-sequel with Gary and another friend of ours. And that was fun. Playing those games co-op, yes. Playing them solo, not so much. So that's why Borderlands 3 is just kind of over there in Nebula Land for me. Which leads me to Trackmania 2020. Never heard of it. Call of Duty Warzone, multiplayer only. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. I don't know anything about that. I don't really have anything to share about that. So I know that it's there. I admit I'm not as anti-Call of Duty as several people I know, both in person and on the internet. So I'm willing to give it a shot. I mean, I'm the one who liked Infinite Warfare, for example. So, we'll see, I guess. The Pathless, never heard of it. Suzerain, never heard of it. SpongeBob remake, never heard of it. Destroy All Humans remake. We'll see, I guess. I mean, that's not even on the list. It's really, really, really low priority for me, so that's not something that I am, super invested in. Which just leaves a couple of games. So, I was thinking about it, Tesla, but it's whatever. Dude, Infinite Warfare was legit. I mean, it had its issues. I mean, there were flaws to that game, and I don't want to dismiss the flaws to that game. But, yeah, no, I liked Infinite Warfare. It was a good game. Updating my votes here. I'm proud of you guys. More people have voted for best than have voted for worst or blandest. Wait, hang on. Yep, nope, that's still true. You're still awesome. That's a spread. Wow. That is a hell of a spread. This leads me to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The final 5 games I haven't mentioned that I haven't played this year that I'm actually interested in. Hades is the first one. Now, I've heard nothing but good things about this, but all of it has been anecdotal to the point where I can't really judge or form an opinion, basically. So, I don't really have an opinion on Hades. In fact, I'm not even sure if it's on the list. You guys can check. I updated the website last night, so the website is up to date. But I'm not even sure if Hades is on the list, and I'm actually curious what it's going to be like. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. Moving on. This leads me to the 4 games that I am most looking forward to that I have not yet played. I referenced this earlier. And I picked a bit of a spread on purpose. Am I interested in Valhalla? Sure, yeah, why not? I already answered that, but I can repeat myself. Valhalla is a game I am bipolar on. I gave it the game I have the most bipolar hype for award. Because there are parts of the game that sound really cool, and there are parts of the game that sound absolutely terrible. And so I'm kind of bipolar in whether or not I'm hyped for it. The 4 games I'm most looking forward to playing that I have not yet, that came out in 2020, are, in no particular order. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Now, Ori and the Blind Forest was, I would say, a middle quality Metroidvania. It was very well presented, which, again, gets back to what we've been talking about yesterday and today. But there were actually some core gameplay issues with Ori and the Blind Forest, and I had issues with them at the end. I don't know what else to say, but we talked about it during the review of it. But Ori and the Will of the Wisps is a sequel, which means they're either going to be the exact same, or they're going to be better. I'm hoping we're going to have some expansion effect going on here, and that's actually going to improve my issues that I had with the first game. Because one way or another, it's probably still going to be a beautifully presented game, regardless of the core gameplay mechanics. This, of course, leads me to Empire of Sin. Now, I've been following Empire of Sin since it was first announced, and I have been very excited for it consistently, because you play a gangster who manages your empire, and it also has XCOM combat. Sold, right? I mean, it just sounds amazing. And everything about the precept sounds amazing. I followed the developer interviews, I followed the build-up and all that. I haven't looked into it since it's been launched, however, people keep telling me that it's garbage. So, we'll see, as usual. The reviewers' opinions do not matter. But I am curious, and I am still very looking forward to trying it. If nothing else, I will be either very disappointed or pleasantly surprised. Take your pick. This leads us to Crusader Kings 3. Now, Crusader Kings 3, I didn't like Crusader Kings 2. I'll go ahead and paint the target here. I felt that Crusader Kings 2 had some core issues that pulled me away from it and pulled me out of it. And if you ever try to get me to review it, I'm going to say no. I liked Europa Universalis 4 and Stellaris more. I'm also looking forward to Imperator, but that came out last year. Anyways, I haven't played Imperator yet, is my point. But from what I've seen, and I have seen a decent bit, Crusader Kings 3 seems like it fixed one of my biggest issues from Crusader Kings 2, which is the damned interface. I know it's something of a meme, but memes aside, CK2 really, for me, is just an absolutely aggravating game to play. Just the aspect of reaching from me into the game and doing stuff in the game, and the game then telling me what's happening. These two conversions are just things that drive me batty. And it looks like, fingers crossed, it looks like 3 has polished over and smoothed those problems out. Like, I have no problems with Stellaris, for example. So, I'm hopeful that CK3 will fix that one big issue, and it'll be awesome. Which leads the final game that I'm most looking forward to, that came out in 2020, the most looking forward to play, all of these are on the list for funding too, just occurred to me, is Yakuza Like a Dragon. Now, I haven't played Yakuza 3, 4, 5, or 6 yet, and that's whenever. I mean, most of those are getting a release in January, so that's kind of a whatever thing too. But all of those games are... No, I didn't forget 2. I played 2 earlier this year. Didn't I? No, you're right. I played 1. Sorry, so I haven't played 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 yet. Sorry, I played the second game of the series, which is, of course, 1. Yeah, I know, prequels. Anyways, Like a Dragon is something that looks like it is my jam. I already liked the Yakuza series. I love the storytelling, I love the presentation, I love the silly, I love the serious. I love the contrast. I actually call it the Yakuza effect at this point. And I tend to enjoy the gameplay. So, you know, this is, of course, a RPG, turn-based, totally not Dragon Quest thing. But speaking as someone who is a big fan of Dragon Quest and a big fan of Yakuza, you could probably understand why this is the sort of thing that I am legitimately hyped for. I'm not sure when we'll play that relative to the rest of the series. We'll find out in time. None of those runs are funded yet, obviously. That, of course, leaves me with the actual games I have played this year. Now, I'm going to leave my best, worst, and blandest for last, and that's when we'll cut off voting. So if you haven't voted, now's the time. So, of the games that I actually did play this year... Actually, one second. How are we doing over here? That is barely setting. My God. I might actually try to go ahead and... Let's do this. Let's see how much we're going to screw this up. Let's put this in the fridge while we talk here and see if we can finish this up. when we're done. Oh my gosh. That is super fragile. Okay. Give me 1 second. Oh god, I'm not sure I have a space in the fridge for this. Just occurred to me. Very carefully. Oh, good crap. Sorry about that. I had to play Tetris a little bit there. It's still intact. It's still intact. So, of the games that I have played this year, there's one game that is on the forbidden list. Or rather, I'm always going to say no to it. Now, I don't mean to be negative about that. In fact, it's a surprisingly decent game, although it does have serious issues, and I do think that it could be substantially better than it is. Nevertheless, it is a game I will never stream. I am, of course, referring to Animal Crossing, which is, in my honest opinion, a terrible stream game, because of the very structure and format of it. That's the kind of game that I could only play if I was the kind of streamer who didn't stream for 10 hours a day. Or what would happen is I would play it probably for about 20 or 30 minutes, and then I would play something else because I would be done for the day. So Animal Crossing stream will never happen. To be clear. I want to be nice and clear about that. Nevertheless, it was fun. I'm still trying to get some gems to send my niece. For me, game options are a big deal. I really like a game that gives me as many objects or options and as many choices, many selections as I possibly can. I'm big on player choice, you know that. So, for the longest time, and arguably to this day, I still use Dishonored 2 as the golden standard when it comes to difficulty selections. But The Last of Us Part 2 might actually surpass that in some ways, because unlike Dishonored 2, you get it at the get-go, so you can just have those difficulty options to start with. And Last of Us Part 2 also had other things which weren't really difficulty options, more like accessibility options, but it had quite a few of those as well, and in ways that other games basically don't do. Having that many options in that game was one of the things I was absolutely gushing about, and is still, in my opinion, the best feature of Last of Us 2. I suppose that could be taken however you want to, but I stand by it. I stand by it. Some absolutely amazing options and design to those options in Last of Us 2. I don't know what reward. I never actually came up with one, but Doom Eternal was good. I don't know what award to give it. Most frustrating game that I liked? No, there's other games that would qualify for that. Most demon killed per hour? I don't know. Doom Eternal was a weird one, because it felt worse than Doom 4, but I've never reviewed Doom 4, so I'm not actually sure. Doom Eternal did have a couple of things that actually pissed me off. Those freaking Marauders come to mind immediately. And, well, the plot was absolutely bonkers, but in a way that I actually rather enjoyed. So, I don't know what else to add to that. I do think that they went in a good direction, but then again, that direction was already gone into from Doom 4, so it's hard to really gauge that. Good game. I do recommend it. Now, one of the things I thought about giving, and I should have probably just started with this, is the best optimized game of the year. Because, hey, you noticed Kirby, holy crap. Because Doom Eternal was a brilliantly optimized game. That game was beautifully, just absolutely marvelously crafted, and smooth as butter. And that is exactly my problem, Plutonia. There's one way to beat them, which is contrary to how Doom Eternal usually is. But yeah, no, it's optimized in what sense? Doom Eternal runs like butter on the Switch. I don't know what else to add to that. Optimization. Okay, we're gonna pause the stream. Let's imagine that you have a bunch of punch cards, or not punch cards, a bunch of cards in front of you. Big old box of them, right? And on every single one of those cards, there's like a number code and a name. And then you can pull out the card, and each one of those is you guys. It's every Lorewalker is in here, and each one of you has a card in this massive database of you, right? All 100 of you. And so you could filter through these cards and grab a thing and look at it and be like, aha, this is the information. So the method, this is going to sound so stupid, but when it comes to programming, the method by which you find something and then access information and using that is something that is a part of optimization in code design. Because you can try to just search until you find it. So just start from the beginning, go to the back, and whenever you find the correct thing, there you are. You could try to do bunches, which is when you have like a bunch of cards and you just flip through those really quick and say nope, and you flip through these really quick, nope. You can try categories, which is, for example, I mentioned the number code. So let's say that every viewer who is a subber, and every viewer who is a donator, every viewer who's a bidder, and then combinations thereof. So that's what, 5? So there's 5 number codes. So you could search for all people under 5, or all people number 2, and then search for the name. You get the idea. Now I'm explaining this terribly because I'm a moron. But this is the kind of thing that needs to be designed when it comes to how code actually grabs information. This is all really bare bones, nothing stuff, but designing that properly is the kind of thing that optimization would be a part of. Obviously, real optimization is roughly 10 billion times more complex than what I just explained. To use an example, a direct example, Cyberpunk 2077 is terribly optimized and runs like crap even on really good systems. Doom Eternal is brilliantly optimized and runs smoothly on the Switch. Anyways, so sometimes you play a game and you love it and you're absolutely adoring it and you're going through and it's just like, yes, and then you keep playing and it's even better, yes, and you keep playing, it's even better, yes, and then it sucks. And then the ending just punches you in the balls. Ooh. And if you're female, the balls just pop in to be punched, and then they're gone. It's very confusing. Now, there's been several games like this that I've played over my years. I'm sure most of you are thinking of Mass Effect 3, but honestly, Neverwinter Nights 2 is what always comes to my mind. A game that I consider to be an excellent game that then just absolutely sucks right at the end. Also, ironically, KOTOR 2 would fall into this category now that I think about it. But you get the point, right? There are plenty of games, but I always think of Neverwinter Nights 2. And just about every year, although I don't think I've actually done this, there's at least one game I could give the Neverwinter Nights 2 award to. A game that's like, yeah! And then, ugh! And this year, that would be Final Fantasy VII R1. A game that, granted, had very serious issues that I am absolutely unhesitating in making fun of and mocking and critiquing. Because, oh my god, padding and dungeon design were terrible, to be blunt. But other than the dungeons, and other than the padding, FF7R1 was excellent. And it is, in my opinion, the definitive example and showcasing of basically all of those characters. You know, that is Barrett to me now. And that is Cloud, and that is Aerith, and so forth and so on. Brilliantly presented, brilliantly constructed. And then the ending showed up. And as usual, I'm not going to spoil in an unrelated stream, but that ending punched me in the balls. It's a weird thing to review, right? Like, imagine you're a restaurant critic, and you're reviewing the food, and it's like, oh, this is a great meal. This is an excellent meal. And then someone runs up and punches you. Maybe not in the ball, maybe in the stomach. Like, right at the end of the meal. How was your meal, sir? Ugh! How do you review that? Anyways, these are the things I think about. So, how many of you have ever walked into a game, this is a dumb question, of course you have, where you're like, yeah, I'm so looking forward to it, and then it sucks? I know I've given this award out before, because I gave it to Mario Tennis Aces, which was a game I was legitimately hyped for, and then Mario Tennis Aces came out, and then I played it. I was really hyped for Resident Evil 3 Remake, because I'm not really into Resident Evil in general, but Resident Evil 2 Remake was just one of those smash successes for me. It caught me completely by surprise. If you'll remember, when we started that stream, I told you guys I reserved the right to quit the stream. That's how much I was not looking forward to and thinking I was going to dislike Resident Evil 2 Remake. And I loved the crap out of that game. Like, I had a couple of complaints, but it was just, oh, yes. I think I gave it the sushi label, for God's sakes. So walking into Resident Evil 3 Remake, I was just like, oh. Now, this doesn't get my... Well, again, I'm not the best, worst, or blandest. By the way, reminder, Voot. This doesn't... whether this is worst, blandest, or whatever, or best, is an unrelated thing. But the reason I bring this all up is because it was such a culture shock. That doesn't actually happen to me all that often anymore. Usually, if I walk into a game excited, I'm not disappointed to that extent. Not these days. You know, this isn't the NES era, where all I have to go off of is a box art, or whatever article was in Nintendo Power. You know, there's resources, right? Then again, I suppose this is also my fault, because I do try to walk into a game relatively blind, to make up my own mind. So, shrug. I imagine there's another game you guys would probably give the most punch in the ball, or no, sorry, that's the other one. The most game you were most hyped for that disappointed you the most. Oh, Lord. Anyways, speaking of the game I was most hyped for and most disappointed for, there was a game I was most disappointed by and ended up being most surprised by how good it was. The total inverse of that. A game that I walked into thinking, well, it'll probably be okay. And I had heard basically nothing good about it. But again, Wanted to make my own opinion, wanted to figure out what I wanted of it. And not only did I like the game, but I ended up loving the game. And it gelled with me. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is great. What? Holy crap, am I playing the same game that everyone else was playing? That is, of course, The Outer Worlds, which I know it actually came out last year on console. That's my fault. I'll go ahead and give you that. But I already wrote it down, so whatever. I am legitimately surprised. I was legitimately surprised by how much I enjoyed that game. It just kind of Tetrised right into there, and was well written, well acted. The characters were very well presented. It managed actual nuance. I actually saw, this is no joke, after I finished my review of The Outer Worlds, I actually looked up a couple other reviews, and one person complained about the fact that the game wasn't taking a hard enough stance. Now you're probably thinking, what? Let me explain in their own words. I didn't write it down, so this is paraphrased. But the idea was that the game should have been more anti-corporate, and there should have been less nuance in the characters. Instead, the game kept trying to flesh out the characters who are working for the corporations to the point where it actually disinvested the reviewer in question of the central message. Now, that's one of the things I loved most about that game, is that they actually did a really good job of fleshing out individuality. But anyways, moving on. What's the next one? So, how many of you guys? How many of you games? Oh my gosh, you're all games in chat. How many of you guys and gals have? How many of you people? How many of you gonks? There we go. We'll go with that. How many of you gonks? Wait, that's an insult, isn't it? Is it chumbas? Is the non-insult? I don't even remember. It would make sense, Javin. I would play the hell out of a platformer RPG. Chooms! There you go. Chooms. There you go. How many of you chooms? I know Cyberpunk lore, I swear. I was telling my sister about it during Christmas. Have endured a game's not particularly good gameplay in service of the story. Like, it's like, oh man, the story is so good. Like, I'm with this. Yes! And I can name a lot of games that I endure the gameplay in order to enjoy the story. Yeah, Tor is a good example of that, actually. But I have another one off the top of my head that is the inverse of that, and that is games where the story is just kind of but by God, that gameplay is actually legitimately enjoyable. Now, to be clear, games that have good gameplay that have no story, or effectively no story, that's different. Like, Mega Man 2 story is, oh my gosh, Dr. Wily is back, don't defeat him. That's not the same thing I'm talking about. I'm talking about a game that has actively bad story. That is actively, in my own terminology, is negative to story. But man, I love that gameplay. For this year, this award for actively terrible story, but legitimately excellent gameplay, which I wanted to keep playing just to enjoy the game, would be Trials of Mana Remake. A game that actually properly remade all of the aspects of gameplay to the game. And I don't just mean the combat, but the combat was part of it as well. But absolutely wrecked the story. In fact, a problem was basically the story was the same as it was back in the original Trials of Mana. Effectively just copy-paste. And so it was it had all the problems that implies, and it was just kind of awkward, weird cutscenes with bad voice acting and bad voice direction and off audio balance, and no idea how to properly... I mean, even though it's better translated, quote-unquote, it actually still feels like a bad translation. Oh my god. And the whole time I'm just like, huh, what? What? And then I'd fight a boss fight that was awesome. Yeah! And then I go through a dungeon. Yeah! And then there'd be a cutscene. Alright, so I already mentioned how disappointed... Yeah, true enough, Paid Maniac. I've already mentioned how massively disappointed I was with with Resident Evil 3 Remake. But there's another category there. Because Resident Evil 3 Remake was something I was really wanting to like and didn't. But this category is just a little bit different, because this was something I was really looking forward to. Or no, I'm saying that wrong. This is something I was initially really looking forward to, and then everything I heard about it as the development cycle was going was just worse and worse and worse. And every bit of news I heard about this game just made me go, oh. And my hype meter just kept dipping every single time I heard anything about it. I'm sure some of you understand this exact feeling. So when the game finally came out and it was a colossal mess, it was not actually what I would call surprising. I am, of course, referring to I'm talking about Warcraft 3 Reforged. I actually followed the development of Warcraft 3 Reforged, and I reported on it a few times on camera. And it was exactly as I described. Hey, we're going to do a proper remake of Warcraft 3. Yes! Hey, we've decided to change how we're doing the engine. We're not using the StarCraft 2 engine. Oh. Hey, we've decided to make sure that it still runs the same way as the old game did. Oh. Hey, we've gotten rid of several of the people who are working on the game because they insist on doing things we don't want to happen. Oh. And every single step was just... Custom sound effects by the Lorewalker. Just what? And then, of course, the final punch. This is the part that really just gets me. All of this news, and then there was one last bit of news right at the end, and that's not the mod thing. That was specifically the we're getting rid of Warcraft 3 original thing. The fact that you have to jump through hoops, or in order to play Warcraft 3 as is, the original. The fact that you can't actually grab a digital copy of Warcraft 3 anymore. At least not legitimately. Now, there were actually 3? Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There were 5 remakes that came out this year. Specifically remakes, not remasters, not ports. Not counting FF7R1 in that, by the way. Of those, one of them has to get the best remake label. The game that I feel actually did a good job with actually remaking its core gameplay and blah blah blah. And it basically would qualify as what I call a proper remake. Now, there's several categories for this, but obviously I've kind of already given this away because of the fact that I have played this game this year, which means I'm just going to go ahead and give this to Black Mesa. Black Mesa is technically, this is kind of an iffy thing, but this game did actually finally really release this year. That's why we finally decided to review it. If you remember, it was a game that had actually been funded and ready to go for some time, and we were just waiting for the final patch to come out. So, Black Mesa is good stuff. If you haven't played it, I do highly recommend it if you are a fan of Half-Life at all. They made some interesting choices, but most of the choices I was completely with, and most of the things that I disliked about it were stuff that I already disliked about the original. And again, it did feel like a relatively new and properly remade experience without losing the flavor and tone of the original, which is difficult to do, and thus it gets that point in my mind. Thank you, Asdelin, for that sub. Very much appreciate, as always. Thank you so much. Do you want to put that towards something? I have to be careful. There's like ginger crumbs on here, and I don't want to just smear those everywhere. So I'm going to have to do this kind of weird. I might have to peck at my keyboard to write this down. Yeah, let's just peck. Let's just peck at the keyboard. Towards my choice. You got it. Thank you again very, very much. Okay. So now we're getting down to it. So I forgot about... No, we're not done yet. I forgot about a couple things, so we're going to do these a little bit out of order. The game that gets the most shapeshifters at the Masquerade is, of course, Persona 5 Royal. It's funny. Persona 5 Royal is a good game, and I can absolutely admit that. It's just, if it was approximately a fifth of the length, I would be substantially more. I would enjoy it substantially more. I know it's become a meme, but I want to re-stress this for the 700,000th time. The length of a game does not actually matter, not really. It is what that game does with that length, and that's the problem. I have plenty of games that I love that are very, very long, but Persona 5 Royal is a very, very long game for all the wrong reasons. The actual content is actually quite good. I found myself legitimately enjoying most of the characters and their arcs and what they were doing, and the little side things and the little raising the rep stuff, and actually going through the dungeons and the combat. Yeah, no, I'm with basically all of that. It's just there's everything else. The fact that we actually came up with a new terminology just for that game. Empty text. Which, that game had lots of empty text. And on the gameplay axis, it had mementos, which was... the nicest thing I could say about that was that it was boring. So, yeah. Persona 5 Royal. Some really good stuff there, but my god, that game did not respect my time at all. Now, sometimes there are some franchises which have an A team and a B team to them. And the A team is the better team. Sometimes that's because the A team is properly supported. Sometimes it's because the A team was the original team and the B team was people who were hired on after the fact. Sometimes it's because of who knows why. But generally speaking, any franchise that has an A team and a B team, the A team tends to put out decent stuff, and the B team tends to put out substandard stuff. Not good and bad per se, but definitely better and worse, right? And yeah, there's plenty of franchises, plenty of development that does this. I mean, hell, even television has this problem with the A team, B team kind of a problem. Movies do as well. You know, you get your A team working on a particular show or a particular episode, it generally shows. Now, we actually had 2 A team games come out this year, but I haven't played one of them. So for me, the best A team game of this year is World of Warcraft Shadowlands, an expansion that is better than BFA in every way. It still has its issues. I'm already kind of building a mental list of positives and negatives for whenever we get to the point of actually being able to review it. However, it is such a breath of fresh air after having gone through BFA that I can't even put it into words properly. It is the first time in several years now that I've actually enjoyed playing WoW without having to add several asterisks to it. I could keep going, but, you know, you don't want to hear me talk about WoW. Nobody wants to hear me talk about WoW. I don't know. If it's like WoW Classic, probably not, Tola. I will say this. I had zero reason to level more than 2 characters in BFA. I have reason to level at least 4 in Shadowlands, so that is an improvement. In Legion, I had reason to level 13. But we'll cover that whenever we review those. Anyways, by the way, for those of you curious, the other A-team game that came out this year that I'm aware of is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, since Valhalla and Origins are both the A-team and Odyssey is the B-team. No, I have not played Monster Hunter World. I've actually wanted to, but obviously I only play games for the show, and thus an opportunity has never arisen. So this leaves me with only 2 games left that I played this year. So we got to get down to, you know, the best, the worst, and the blandest. But before we get there, I do want to give... so let's talk about best game of the year, right? Now, sometimes a game comes out and it gels and it's wonderful and it's beautiful. And sometimes a game comes out and it needs a little work. So for my category for best game of 2021 is Cyberpunk 2077. If you haven't heard me say it before, I will say it again. Even though I have not finished the game yet, I can guarantee you a total certainty. Wait a year. When Cyberpunk is done, it will be the best game of next year. Probably. But no, let's talk about the actual best, worst, and blandest for me. Which means your time for voting is up. So, let's go ahead and refresh your results. We'll start with blandest. No, we'll start with worst. Because worst got the least votes, by quite a bit. Yeah, when Cyberpunk shines, it shines. Stand by that statement. All right, so worst game of 2020 for you guys. The Lorewalkers vote for the worst game of 2020 out of 52 votes. So that is a good... That can't be right. Oh, sorry, 52 people voting. Well, you have right now, Bamber Boozer. This is it. This is your last chance. Right now. Go, 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 go. You have seconds. Seconds to vote. The clock is ticking. Let's do some Jeopardy music. Do, 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 do. Actually, no. You have until I come back with the castle. We'll see how it looks. Okay. Can you see that? There we go. All right. Let's see. So we got to add some stuff. We got to add cosmetics. We got to add all sorts of stuff. This. What the heck is this? Oh, this is for. Yeah. Okay. Okay. What can we add here? Let's add. We do that. That's not going to stick though. Is this just supposed to, I think this is just supposed to be separate. Now I'm thinking about it. Let's, is this gonna come out here? Is anything, there it comes, there it comes. Okay. So let's see how much this is gonna stick. There's a lot of gingerbread on this stuff. So let's do, let's do one here. Make a goop ball. Another goop ball. Oh my god, it's barely coming out. Look at that. I don't think that's... You know what? Let's do this. Let's do this. New plan. New plan. You voted, right? You're nice and generous here about voting. You can see that. Holy crap. Hey! It's actually visible. Thank you, Han Sanitizer. I'm rather pleased with it. Let's do this really quick. So let's do some outlines. You better vote it, or else we're gonna have to release the hounds, and you don't want us to release the hounds. That's gonna be terrible. All right, perfect. We even got an Imperial symbol in the middle. Perfect. Cashel, vote! Vote! Quick! You have seconds. Mere seconds. Let's do gumdrops on these, I think. No, I did not, Javin. I don't even know it was a thing. Good, I am. No. Yeah, this is my castle now. Bits, no. I'm gonna go with no. I didn't get any bits. I got one bit from you, Calpalisto. For real mist, which, give me a moment. We got a peck here. Give me one moment. So it's B, tab, Calpalisto. One, come on. Real. There we go. Okay, I got it. I got it. Thank you for the bits, Calpalisto. Very much appreciated. So, is even edible? No, those are super not edible. That's okay. That's okay. Where we're going, we don't need edible. Are these even visible on the screen? Yeah, they kind of are. Yes, I have played Myst back when it came out. I didn't like it. That's a good question, Tesla. You know what? Let's hang on. Let's get a couple more here. You guys voted, right? What song? I don't know. What song is up? I don't have my headphones in. This is Stardew Valley Spring specifically. Alright, so we got a green over here, a red over here. Yeah, my family has made sure that I have way too many sweets, so, you know. See, it's a good thing I'm delaying. Voot! Go! I'm literally about to cut it off in seconds. Seconds! Again, I know it's been seconds for like 5 minutes now. Debating where I want to put the coins. They don't have the charge I need, Giga Pudding. I'd have to buy 2 pairs, so that's like $300. So that would be terrible. I know, right, Tesla? I mean, I have lost weight. I am no longer on a diet. I have succeeded at my task. I mean, I could lose more. And in fact, I'm kind of dipping back into another diet range. But yeah, I have already lost quite a bit of weight. I got down to 213. Which probably sounds super fat, but let's just say that that is down. And leave it there. Voot! No, I didn't, Loner. I should probably say I got back up to 213. Might be more accurate way to put that. Where should we put the coins? Help me out here. Congrats, Embery. Embery? You're right, hang on. This is now becoming one of those streams. Yep. I'll just kind of take this off. Let me just flex a little bit there. And of course, you can't tell because these are like these. This is 3 sizes too big for me. We talked about this yesterday, so you can't really tell. Anyways, a resolution list. Yeah, you're funny. My resolution list is to keep existing until I can live or die. All right. Oh, I don't know. Savacom. I wasn't there for that. I didn't get there until like noon. What am I doing? That's it. We're done. Okay, so now that we're done, we're gonna cut it off. So we're gonna do. Hang on. So we got like 20 more votes. Jeez Louise, guys. Come on. I got the vote thing there and everything. We got 50 more votes on that one. Okay. So we're actually cutting it off for real. Your guys' votes for worst game of 2020. Now I put the whole list on there. So I'm not going to list anything from like 5 and down. Although on the worst list, a whole lot of things got 4 votes. These include the SpongeBob remake, Call of Duty, Black Ops Cold War, Genshin Impact, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and Resident Evil 3 Remake. In the worst games of 2020 for you viewers, we got Final Fantasy VII R1, a game that was total crap in every way, shape, and form. Cyberpunk 2077, a total crap game that was worse than trash in every single way, shape, and form. Maybe I shouldn't do that every single game. Top 3 worst games of the year. Number 3, this surprises me, Marvel's Avengers. I'm guessing the only reason that's not higher is because you guys didn't play it, right? Nevertheless, Marvel's Avengers gets the number 3 slot for worst game of the year. Number 2 slot goes to Warcraft 3 Reforged, which, yeah, hard to argue that one. Which, of course, also leaves me with the worst game of the year for 2020 is The Last of Us Part 2. Now, okay. Why? If you don't mind my asking. I mean, I had severe and serious issues with that game, as was obvious when I was reviewing it. But I wouldn't put that at worst game of the year for me, personally. So I'm curious, for those of you, for the 33 of you who voted for that. Yeah, the story just... Oh, what were they thinking? Now, this is going to sound funny, but most of the scenes with Joel are the ones that worked for me the best. Really. Now, don't think that's just because of the first game, because I didn't like the first game. It's just they were the best done scenes, in my opinion. You know, the very, very, very end, which was actually a flashback. You remember that one? Or a lot of the interactions between him and the other people in the settlement right at the beginning of the game. Good stuff. And yeah, the flashback section, going through that museum, that was amazing. I am amused. Anyways, moving on. So, this then leaves us with the blandest game of 2020. As apparently another 11 people have voted since I hit refresh last time. Good thing I hit refresh again. This is a much bigger spread. Oh my god. Wow. Okay, so blandest. Oh my god. If I was to list everything with 4 votes and more, I'd have to go down to like the 20s. I don't know, Adventures. I mean, several people in chat are giving valid reasons for putting it the worst game of the year. And frankly, it doesn't... I mean, I understand. If I was to list a game with the worst narrative of the year, Last of Us 2 might actually qualify for that, so I'm totally with you. Anyways, blandest game of the year. So, I'm just going to rapid fire these. We have Destroy All Humans, SpongeBob Remake, Star Wars Squadrons, Persona 5 Royal, Final Fantasy VII R1, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Crash Bandicoot, Genshin Impact, Empire of Sin, Resident Evil 3 Remake. I put that here twice? No, I didn't. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, World of Warcraft Shadowlands, for blandest? Cyberpunk 2077, Fall Guys, The Outer Worlds. Okay, so all of those had 4 to 9 votes. Big old chunk, but very, very, very widespread. Which leaves us with Call of Duty Warzone with 10 votes. Borderlands 3 with 10 votes. And that leaves us with the top 4 blandest games of the year by your guys' vote. In the number 4 slot, Assassin's Creed Valhalla with 11 votes for the 4th slot. I'm just going to go ahead and guess that that's because it's an Assassin's Creed game. That's just presumption there. Number 3, Warcraft 3 Reforged. Now, that one doesn't make sense to me, because while I could see Warcraft 3 getting worse, blandest? I wouldn't mind some clarification on that one. In the number 2 slot, The Last of Us Part 2. Yeah, I could see that, because it is definitely a pretty bland game, especially on the story axis. And as someone pointed out earlier, the gameplay mechanics were a little bit out of date when it comes to game design. Which leaves us with the number 1 blandest game of 2020, Marvel's Avengers. That's not surprising. A game that tried very hard to be another game in a market that is already a bad market, and did not succeed at doing so. Better luck next time. This leaves us with the best. Let's refresh. There we go. So, nobody voted. So, I'm sorry, real quick. The games that got 0 votes for Best Game of the Year are SpongeBob Remake, Fall Guys, Marvel's Avengers, and Empire of Sin. Nobody voted for those. Now, for those of you who didn't catch this, this was a multiple choice. So you could pick as many as you wanted to, and nobody picked any of those. That's just amusing to me. Moving on. Scroll up, scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. This one is pretty far spread, too. So let's start at... let's start with the 4s. We've been doing the 4s this whole time. So with 4 votes, Hyrule Warriors 2. With 4 votes, Half-Life Alyx. With 4 votes, Yakuza Like a Dragon. With 5 votes, Genshin Impact. I'll admit, that surprises me. I am surprised there are 5 people who think that's the best game of the year. But 5 votes, Crusader Kings 3. Now we scroll up a little bit more. With 6 votes, The Last of Us 2. With 8 votes, Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Again, haven't played it, can't speak to that. With 12 votes, Animal Crossing New Horizons. That doesn't surprise me either. With 15 votes, Persona 5 Royal. I'm a little surprised at how far down the list that is. I figured that'd be much higher on the list. Also with 15 votes, The Outer Worlds, which technically shouldn't have been on this list, but whatever. So then we've got the top, what is this, 5? Yes. In number 5, for Best Game of the Year, Hades, a game I haven't played so I can't comment on. It's by the Bastion and Transistor team, I think. I know it's by the company, but I don't know if it's by the team, so I don't know. Hades. In the number 4 slot, this one doesn't surprise me at all. Final Fantasy VII R1, a game that has issues, as I've mentioned, but nevertheless has some very, very, very good things, and has a lot of shine there, so that's not really a big surprise to me either. In the number 3 slot, with 20 votes, we have Cyberpunk 2077. This also doesn't surprise me. A game that, a rather contentious game, a game that people have leapt to defend and leapt to hate, and there's been a lot of noise about, but at the end of the day, it is still a game that has a lot of shine. As I just said earlier, when it shines, it shines. So, this leaves us with the number 2 best game for the Lorewalkers for 2020 is Doom Eternal. That shocked the hell out of me. Now, I liked Doom Eternal a lot, but Doom Eternal is not a game I figured you guys would vote for Best Game of the Year. No judgment. It is a very good game. It's just something that surprises me. Like I said, I think Doom 4 is a slightly better game, but that does not degenerate the fact that Doom Eternal is a very good game. Good presentation, good humor, good little side tidbits, good world building, good plot development, excellent arena design, good gun design, good flow of gameplay, yada, yada, yada. Which leaves us with the best game of the year, per your guys' requests, or per your guys' votes, excuse me, per your guys' votes. So the Lorewalker best game of the year is, and you already saw this coming, Ghost of Tsushima. Really don't need to add anything to that, I don't think. Ghost of Tsushima was the game that was the total opposite of Cyberpunk, actually. Cyberpunk was a game that was massively hyped, massively hyped to hell and back by everyone and everything, and then came out and started a firestorm of, ah! Ghost of Tsushima was a game that basically had no marketing, no buzz, and just kind of came out. And then everyone fell in love with it. So I guess it's the inverse, not the opposite, but you get the point. I mean, you can, Ventures. I'm sure they won't give a damn. It is interesting, though, that Ghost of Tsushima not only had a fantastic release, but also, again, just kind of was like, hey, here's Ghost of Tsushima. Oh my god, this is amazing. And it still sold well. And that's the part that makes me happiest about Ghost of Tsushima. A game being great isn't really all that special, as strange as that may sound. But a game being great that also sells well, that's actually kind of rare. It maybe uncommon, not rare. It does say, and Javan was already getting to that point before I did, it says a lot about the value of word-of-mouth marketing in the modern era. Something I have been banging on about for about 20 years now. Nobody ever listens to me. Anyways, sorry. I talked about this in school. No joke. And people were like, no, you're an idiot. No, this is not a joke. I had people tell me that if you were not willing to drop the big bucks on marketing, that you are just going to have a failed and flop product. And I'm just like, but... Anyways. Moving on. So that's your guys' vote. I suppose that leaves us with mine, but, well, you can probably already guess mine, so I'm just going to run through these relatively quickly. Blandest Game of the Year, Resident Evil 3 Remake. A game that I'm actually going to continue to use as an example going forward as a game that doesn't have design. To be clear about that, I don't mean it's bad. I don't mean that there were people who were stumbling. I mean that there's aspects of that game, and I talked about this during the rumination of it, which just weren't designed. And it's actually kind of rare that I cover a game that lacks design. And that just absolutely dragged that game down for me. Worst game of the year is Warcraft 3 Reforged. Now, that may sound strange, considering I was relatively positive about it when it came out. But the problem with Warcraft 3 Reforged is the fact that it has done so much aggravating and irritating that it surpasses the game itself for me. So, WTF. Like, I already talked about this. All the crap that was surrounding the game and the stuff that happened outside the game. Yeah, the problem with Reforged really is Blizzard. And yeah, I actually talked about this during the review. I was effectively reviewing Warcraft 3. And that's why that review was sufficiently positive. It's just... Diablo Immortal has come out in a beta format this year. So in other words, no. Golgrim is the answer to your question. This leaves me with my best game of the year, and it's Ghost of Tsushima. I'm sorry. I've already said everything I have to say about it. That game just was great. It had excellent voice acting and excellent voice direction and fantastic visual presentation and an engaging plot that only irritated me a couple of times. Nice side quests, good visual direction, good aesthetic, good sound design. And of course, the combat itself was equally enjoyable to either stealth or to beat the crap out of things with parry-based combat. And I love parry-based combat. You guys actually are aware of this, I'm sure. And, you know, and there's foxes that you can pet. I mean, what more do you want from me? Ghost of Tsushima also, I will admit, surprised the hell out of me. Now, when it was very first announced at E3, you probably remember that, it was the duel that was shown. I was like, that looks cool. And that was pretty much my reaction. I was like, yeah, that looks cool. I'm with it. I think Rax was actually with me on that one. And so, you know, woo, and it was funded very quickly. It was one of the earliest games that was just funded and sit over there and just kind of locked in. And then it just left my mind for like 2 years. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was Rax. Yeah, because of the Kingdom Hearts thing. And so it just left my mind for a couple of years, and then it's like, oh, it's out. Okay, I'll make sure to buy it and punch it in. And, oh my god, it was so good. I did have issues with it. I think the interface has some problems. Actually, excuse me, I think the HUD has some problems. I think the open world elements were kind of lacking. And I feel like that the third island was substantially worse in terms of overall everything than the first and the second islands. But that doesn't degenerate the fact that it was, in my opinion, an excellent game. So that's our Game of the Year awards, guys. I do hope you guys have enjoyed this. We've been doing this for 2 hours. How are these settling? They're kind of settling. They're not really settling. Ghost of Tsushima Legends. I don't know what that is. I have no idea, Twister. What's funny is there are a couple of games that do exactly that. Wasteland 3 came out this year? Nobody told me Wasteland 3 came out this year. I haven't played it, obviously. Whatever. That's okay. I do hope you've been enjoying, Mr. Valerian. League of Tsushima. I guess that's kind of it. I will go ahead and try and clean up a little bit. We still have to do our Positivity Hour. As a fresh reminder, we will not be having our Star Trek stream this evening. So we're going to do our Positivity. We're going to be talking about the fields. No, Miles Morales is not on the list. I forgot about that one too, and also nobody mentioned it. So, shrug. Oh yeah, best game that I hated playing. Crosscode. There you go. There you go. Real quick, it's the inverse of Trials of Mana. Trials of Mana remake was best gameplay, worst story. Crosscode, best story, worst gameplay. There you go. Boom, we're done. I gotta be real. I'm probably gonna stop here. I'm not big on, like, I like decorating and cosmeticing, but this is non-edible, so there's not a lot of reason to. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to not design. There you go. That's not design in a nutshell. To answer Blue of Alex's earlier question, I'm not kidding. This is not me being facetious. This is a visual presentation of not design. Design is when you like, okay, well, we want a pattern, so let's put them in ways where it's good. Design is when there's thought put into it, right? It's like, okay, I want this here and this here and this here. Not design is when you just kind of put things wherever. There's actually quite a few examples of games that have absence of design. It's just we usually don't cover them. No, I didn't miss it, Nero says. We usually don't cover them on camera because they haven't been funded or whatever. What is this? This came with it too. I don't know what that is. It's art! It's art! I don't know what this is. What is fondant? I think that's French. So help me out. F-O-N-D-A-N-T. I don't have super access to my keyboard right now. I'm going to have to get rid of this table. We'll be building stuff on here eventually, hopefully soon. Oh, yeah. Well, hang on, really quick. Thank you, Guido. I shouldn't say Guido, because there is a Guido. Thank you, Guido, for life. Let's be clear. Think of it. It's fudge? Okay, so that's fudge, apparently. Got it. That's what I needed to know. So that was for Wasteland 3. Hang on. We gotta do this by pecking. Unless I can reach this. And then Wasteland 3. Okay, there. Got it. What? No, do not. No, I'm not gonna. I guess I could smash it. But with what? I don't have a large blunt object anywhere. If only I had a large, like, weapon that I could use, like, as a mace against this thing. Do you want me to? Do you guys want me to? Yeah, no, that's gonna be a mess. And cleaning up the sword. I'm not gonna do that. Cleaning up the sword would be a mess. Like, I already have to clean that thing semi-regularly just from dust. I do have the hammer right there. Oh yeah, you guys don't care, of course. What did I call it? It was the complexities... the complexities... something. Shoot. Hang on a second. Shoot, I can't remember it. Okay, so one of the things that I like to do when I'm on long road trips is I think, and I come up with some kind of thought process to go through. You know, sometimes I'll write stuff for the extant, and sometimes I'll write stuff for whatever. But I realized I didn't really have a name for my SSD. And I was like, you know what, I need to come up with a name for that ship, and I need to come up with a name for that ship. And I had a perfect name for this thing. And it involved the word complex, because what I wanted to do was get across the idea of Silver Mask donating again for Valiant Hearts. He keeps trying to interrupt me. I'm not sure why he does this, but one of these days he's going to understand that while Valiant Hearts is an awesome game and Silver Mask is better than me in every single way, the fact of the matter is... hang on, it's not actually for it. Hang on, really quick. Thank you for the donation, as ever, and as always, I do appreciate. So, that's the fulfillment of law. That one, the SSD, is the fulfillment of law. But this thing was based on the idea of complexity. And I can't remember what it was. It was like, because the whole idea was I was getting the concept of complex solutions for complex problems as a ship name. And it was like complexities something. And God, that's gonna bug the crap out of me. Ah! There you go. Oh, you couldn't see it. Here, I'll do this one so you can see it. There you go. Complexity something. Or something complex. Complexity's choice, maybe? Complexity's thing. Help me out here, guys. What would be a word that would fit that? What would be a word that would work for that? What would be a good word for complex? Oh, complexity solution. That might have been it. I think that's it, Bregman. I think it is complexity's solution. I think you're right. So, this is now the complexity solution. And that is the fulfillment of law. And that's the hammer. It's a little bit different. One of these days, hopefully, so I was supposed to get a model in November. It was pushed back. It's this year. And that's going to be the Pillar of Iron. And what gingerbread castle? So the Pillar of Iron was is the you'll see it. You'll see it. I'll show it off. I'll show it off when it shows up. And then I have to design my own ship for the last ship name that I've got, which is the Hope Fulfilled. And I haven't decided exactly what direction I want to go with that, but I'm thinking something homeworldy because I really do like homeworld style ships. Anyways, I need to clean up a little bit. Don't worry, I have real cookies in the kitchen. I'll have a real cookie. I'm going to clean up, and then we're going to go ahead and do our positivity streams for the week. So, today, we'll be covering... actually, I'll go ahead and chop up a little recording.